Hey, my name's Owen. I work for Park End Church in Cardiff. Here's another video on the young people's faith questions, answering questions from the young people about religious things, young people that we know who are connected to our church. Here's one. Who made God? Really, to get to the heart of this one, you have to cast your mind back before even the universe began. And it boils down to two choices about what was there at the beginning. Something has to have been there which was not made. It always had to have been there. Some people believe that God was not there, and rather than that, there were particles, little small whizzy things, smaller than the eye can see. They're physical, but they're tiny, and they were just always there. They did not have a beginning. Nothing made it, because if they came from particles before it, well, then we would have to say, well, what started those particles? And what started those particles? And what started the particles that made those particles? So it gets to a point where something just has to have been there. And some people believe that those particles bashed into each other. And from that moment came the universe, the planets, the world, and you. Something has to have always been there, eternal in its nature. But there are lots of people who aren't convinced by that story. And they say it's because everything that is physical has to have had a beginning. In fact, there's nothing that we know of which is physical that has just always been there. Everything that's physical, even if it's tiny, has to have something which was there before it to create it. And it goes against everything we know in science and philosophy to believe that something physical has an eternal nature. There's just not much evidence for it. And in science, you might learn about how some particles do pop into existence from nothing. But they'll also tell you there are funny little waves in a vacuum which were there first, and they helped the particle come from nothing. So it wasn't really from nothing. That particle had something before it, the waves, which helped bring it into existence. So it's another piece of evidence to suggest that even when particles do pop into existence, it has something around it to help it come into existence. It's just not always there. And so there's another group of people who believe that way back before the universe began, there was something else which was always there. This thing, they believe, must be non-physical and has to be by nature always there, eternal, everlasting. And that thing was able to create the physical things, the universe, the planets, the world, and you. And of course, that thing can't be physical in its nature, and it would have to be intelligent and creative. And the more you choose this option and look into it, the more you begin to see that that thing is not really a thing, but it's a who. It's God. It's the God that the Bible describes, the creative God, who had nothing before him to create him. He was always there. Now, there are loads of other evidences to believe in God and to support the idea that God was always there. And we'll do that in another video, probably called Evidences for God. But in this video, I want to challenge us all. Which miracle do we believe? The miracle of the eternal particles or the miracle of the eternal God? Some of the cleverest people in world history have put all their eggs in the basket of belief in God. The God that entered this world 2,000 years ago, who is called the Lord Jesus Christ. The God who claims he made everything to show everyone how wonderful he is, how trustworthy he is, how glorious he is, how creative he is. A God who joined us in this difficult world because sin has broken it. And a God who's promised to fix it from top to bottom, including you, if you follow Jesus. So why not join your local church and learn more about him? Why not join Crossroads Youth Club on Tuesdays at 7 p.m? Or if you're a bit younger in primary school, our Big Fish Primary School Club at 4 p.m. at church. Why not come on Sundays at 11? We'd love to see you and talk about these things further.